in place as strong policies. I think individuals deliberately do what they like with what is in place. And I think where the problem is for us in this country is not about policies, but about punishment,
right,
for people that choose to ignore
or circumvent the law.
Yes, exactly. So I think in this particular case, because let's look at it, the central bank governor should also have some levels of independence that will enable him to perform his responsibilities. If we want to put the central bank governor under the presidency or the federal government, it's also going to hinder a lot of things. So I think it should have any CBN governor should have the freedom to execute policies, implement policies, initiate policies for the good of the country. But where they are found to be wanting, or they deliberately circumvent whatever policy is on ground to enrich themselves, then they should be punished. The problem here is that we talk about misuse of offices, but we never get to the point of punishing these people. Yeah, and that is a major problem. That is why we keep getting the same thing repeated from time to time. So I think we should go stronger on punishing offenders.
Right. All right, let's really move on to our next issue of discussion, where inflation, they say, is a disease that can only be cured by financial discipline. As Nigerians continue to face tough economic realities, inflation appears to be bent on worsening the situation. And according to the report by the Consumer Price Index by the National Bureau of Statistics, the country's inflation rate rose to 33.69% in April 2024 compared to March 2024 headline inflation rate, which was 33.20%. Now, how the Monetary Policy Committee of the CBN will review the inflation rate is being eagerly awaited. Adewale, let me come to you on this matter. Now, we understand the MPC meeting is scheduled to hold May 20th to 21st, projecting a hike in, to combat the inflation. But let's me understand, are we on the right path in addressing this concern if we are to look at this matter holistically?
Well, I think in the first place, there are certain areas that we all need to agree. And that is the fact that Nigerians are passing through very difficult moments economically. And people are being robbed of the basic comforts of life. For instance, you have electricity, you can't put on your fan, you can't put on your AC. You have your car, you are driving, you cannot put on your AC. If there's a kind of traffic jam, then you have to off your car to save fuel. We are not talking about health. People have lost access to, public health services. If you go to public hospitals now, what it goes do is consultancy. They give you a letter to go and buy, the medicine outside they are not able to provide for you. Housing, the essentials of life are being taken away, every day. Nigerians are disempowered. And if you look at this kind of situation, it's not a very good thing. Because we keep on hearing the same stories, okay, you have to make sacrifices and all that. But the people who are telling us to make sacrifices, they are not making any sacrifices. The cost of governance keeps going up. The first thing people get when they get to is new cars, new vehicles and all that, And you keep on wondering that how long are you going to continue to make sacrifices for a few people who feed on your labor? So I think the fact that there is increase in inflation has gone up is a reality. And we shouldn't be surprised because productivity has declined. There is rise in cost of raw materials. There is increase in production cost. People are paying more tax. Taxes are being imposed on Nigerians. There is hike in fuel. There is hike in transportation. So everything is just, going out of hand. So I think we must also we should be fair enough to analyze issues within the historical context. That it's not just something that people who just came now, last year, that we have to put every blame on them. These are historical problems that have been going on. Corruption has been quite entrenched, and the past 8 years, I think, very tough for Nigerians. Kidnapping, invasion of farm, people left, they cannot farm any longer. So a lot of factors were responsible for the situation we find ourselves today. However, the issue is that what is the solution that the government in power has? That's the question because those people are no longer there now. So we have to hold the people in power now responsible. So I think in dealing with this problem, it's not just to criticize. We should be able to also offer meaningful suggestions. Yeah. For me, I think we are in the rainy season now. I think the government should have short-term, medium plan, and then long-term. If factories are leaving Nigeria, what are we doing to replace them? Because when factories are leaving your country, it's a disadvantage. You can also return it an advantage because you can inherit their assets and then rebuild those factories. Are we engaging those that are leaving the country to ensure we can create an alternative? It can also be an alternative for local manufacturers. If foreign companies are leaving, local manufacturers, if they have the right incentives, they can replace those companies that are leaving the country. So is there a synergy between the manufacturing sector and the Ministry of Finance? Or we just wait and read all the papers and then we don't create a system where we can engage them? Are we encouraging Nigerians to patronize locally made products? Nigerian leaders, are they buying locally made vehicles? Are they buying locally made shoes? Are they engaging shoe manufacturers? Textile industry used to be one of their mainstay in this country. What are we doing to bring back the Kaduna textile, the Osho textile? What are the creative programs that we have? In terms of agriculture, we still import rice, and most of these rice that we even import are, they are expired, maybe some 6 months or 7 months. So of the funds we have spent on Anchor Bora, what happened to them? So I think government should sit down and think creatively. And not just about federal government alone. State governments, local governments, we need to go into agriculture. Because I believe that if we can seize that initiative of local governments, state governments investing in agriculture, in the next 4, 6, 4, 5 months, you'll be able to see the result. Tomatoes in 3, 4 months, vegetables in few months, maize. So if you can put a lot of money into agriculture, I believe that it's going to make a lot of impact in terms of changing the current dynamics. We gave 2 billion to states for palliatives. But when you give them this money, you buy food for them, after 1 week, it's gone. What if we had invested some funds in agriculture? This happened last year, I think early this year. 6 months, gone. If we had put this money into grain, maybe we would have been able to talk about reaping, harvesting some agricultural products. So I think we need to be more creative because the greatest source of wealth is ability to think creatively. So I think we need to go into agriculture. We should put all our energy into agriculture. If people can feed breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I think you'll discover that people will not bother much about whether the government is picking up their demands.
Yeah, well said. I totally would agree with you on that perspective. But, Olabisi, with what he said so far, homegrown solutions is the way to go if we're to talk about moving away from our current position right now. But what other options do you think we haven't explored now in dealing with this financial challenge? Even though the CBN is trying to do its best in terms of the policy, the monetary policy rate and all of that to tackle inflation, what else do you think they aren't, they haven't considered in terms of handling the rising rate of inflation?
Well, I think the people has been removed from the whatever policy that we are getting now. And that is the main problem, the main gap that I'm seeing. For the record, this is the 11th consecutive rise in inflation rate in the last 1 year. And what we saw this month is the 4th highest inflation rate recorded in Nigeria since the first quarter of 1996. That is according to the NBS report. Now, we have succeeded in expanding our tax nets, for example, which even the Accountant General of the Federation told us now has increased the revenue from tax. She even said that tax is now the highest revenue generation for the country. That shows you how much has gone into taxing Nigerians. And yes, these are policies that could increase revenue for the government, but there are also policies that keep on reducing the purchasing power of the people. Yeah, and that is why we are seeing inflation. Because what is the first sign of inflation, for example, or the first negative or one of the negative effects of inflation? Reduction in purchasing power of the people. And we have seen that because people don't have money, their purchasing power has gone down. And also, businesses, productivity also reduces when you continue to have high level of inflation. So if these are some of the negatives of inflation, then we need to look at them and see how we can work around them to probably, for example, in the area of production now, I think we need a policy now that will boost production activities. Remember, when there is
but let's not forget our infrastructure. We have infrastructure deficits. So how can we boost our production if we have that in mind as well?
Yeah, exactly. And these are the problems, because even in tackling the problem of infrastructural deficiency, we are still talking about some taxes. For example, the electricity tariff that's increased recently. That is bringing in money in one way, but also hindering productivity in another way. So maybe we are going to be looking at reduction in, maybe we are looking at some kinds of subsidy for production, for people in production. Remember that even Britain, in the height of the Ukraine-Russia war, actually introduced some form of subsidy, energy subsidy, at that time, for people to be able to cope. So we can look at that area and do, I don't know how that calculation can be done, but I think we need to boost production right now. We need whatever we can do to extend or to expound our productivity, we need to do it. And in the area of people, I think we need to also work towards boosting the purchasing power of people. For me, I will advise governments to stop any further taxation policy on Nigerians for now, because it's really killing people. It's killing them. I think the popular saying that let something breathe, let something breathe. I think now we need to talk about let the poor breathe in Nigeria now. Yeah, because we cannot be looking at what's expanding the tax net, what we are gaining from it alone. We also need to look at what's the implication, because if we don't expand the rates at which people can do business, ordinarily, that is what we should be doing. That is what those in government should be doing. Right. You expand the ability of people to earn more money. Then they now pay tax from what they earn. But right now, people are not earning, but they are paying more. So they need to do, re-strategize to ensure that this thing balances. Right. That way, well, things could be better.
Well, let's quickly go on a very quick break. We have more discussions coming your way in just a moment. Please stay with us.
The Ministry of Solid Minerals Development cordially invites stakeholders and the general public to its National Gemstone and Jewelry Show. Date 16th May 2024. Venue Chida Hotel Event Center, 224 Solomon Lawe, Utako, Abuja. Time 10 a.m. Announcer Dr. Henry Alake, Honorable Minister of Solid Minerals Development.
Now, the conversations on new national minimum wage have reached a fever pitch as Nigeria stands on the verge of a nationwide strike over the testy matter. Now, following the ultimatum issued by organized labor, the federal government has summoned a meeting of 37-member tripartite committee on the new national minimum wage in order to beat the deadline. And among the agenda of the meeting are presentations by the federal government, states and organized private sector of their minimum wage proposals. And don't forget about that the organized labor made a proposal of 615,000 naira minimum wage. Adewale, I understand this is not, we've been discussing the national minimum wage and this gradually getting to a head. But what are your expectations from the outcome of this meeting? Are you hoping to see anything different? Let's start with that.
Well, I hope to see a situation where there is a minimum agreement, between labor, a realistic agreement,
How realistic are you, Prof?
In the sense that we cannot be talking about minimum wage in a vacuum. It has to be based on facts and figures. And I believe both are empowered to the federal government and also the Trade Union Congress and the General Labour Congress. Both are empowered, they are in a position to obtain statistics so that when you are debating, you are talking from informed position. So the two have agreed, TUC and LNC, that, okay, we want 315,000 naira as minimum wage. For me, I think that looks so huge. And if we are not careful, it might destabilize the economic equilibrium. But if they can convince us that, look, this is how much Nigeria realizes from crude oil, the GDP, from tax, this is how much the federal government takes, states, this is how much goes to states. Because the General Labour Congress has its members in almost every aspect of the country. They are in the Accountant General's office. They are members of NOGE. They are in the Civil Service Union. So they should have access to these figures. So if the NLC wants to speak, I want to see how you can convince Nigerians. We have been, flaunting a lot of figures and all that, but I want to see conscientious, a position based, driven by reality. But if that is absent, we are talking about 650 will just be like masturbating the ego of Nigerian workers. Unless you are able to prove that this Nigerian government is in a position to pay this amount. But I think that the NSC coming with this kind of figure might be a way to negotiate from position of strength. So that, okay, if you come with this figure, then, it means that we have to negotiate and then come down. But that must have been informed by lack of trust on both sides. The government and labor do not trust each other. They are contemptuous of each other. Because if there is trust, there's no need for you to come with figures that are not realistic. And we should also not forget that the Nigerian Labour Congress has probably about 4 to 5 million members, which is just about 2.5% of Nigerian population. So if you are paying this figure, you also have to look at the impact in the informal sector. It's not just that when you say Nigerian labor, it's going to affect those that are not the unorganized labor. And they are about 85% of Nigerians are working in the informal sector. So, but if you now have a minimum wage where a cleaner in the civil service will earn 615,000, it means that the private sector, hotels, private sector, even civil society organizations, they must be compelled to pay. So if you are not careful, there's a lot of things that, unforeseen consequences. Loss of jobs, state governments, federal government may be compelled to reduce the workforce in order to meet the new minimum wage. Private sector will also take the same decision. So at the end of the day, it's going to be to counterproductive because more people will lose their jobs because the private sector and the government sector wants to try as much as possible to meet up with the new minimum wage. So I think we need to be sensible, we need to be realistic, we need to go with that meeting with a clear mind and then also come up with figures to convince Nigerians. Though it's a debate between the federal government and Labour, but it's also a debate between Nigerians and the government. So it must be an open, transparent debate that all of us will be convinced that when we want to take side, we'll be taking sides based on accurate information.
So, Brother BC, what are your thoughts on this? You share the same sentiments or you're having a different opinion?
I think the Labour is joking. I don't even, I think the 615,000 naira is unrealistic. And it just gives me the impression that they are not serious-minded. Because you cannot be negotiating from 30,000 minimum wage to 615,000 minimum wage. It's as if they are joking or they are jokers. And I'm sure they are very serious. Of course, they told us how they arrived at the 615,000 naira. And in as much as I do agree with them, I understand the calculations and the rest, but we all know that you cannot you can't come to me to renegotiate your salary and be asking for more than 1,000% increase. So for me, that is not realistic, and it shows it's as if they are jokers. 30,000, 615,000 naira is not realistic. However, I believe that this issue of negotiating minimum wage is long overdue. Remember that the 30,000 naira minimum wage was supposed to be reviewed, I think, after 5 years, which was not done. And at the beginning of this administration, when fuel subsidy was removed and all of that, there was also a promise that the Nigerian workers would be paid living wage. So I guess the living wage is the reason why the Labour is coming up with 615,000 naira. I ask myself, why should government rush to set up committees when Labour gives strike notices? Why should we always wait for strike notices before we do this? Because it is almost 1 year now, and this 30,000 naira has remained minimum wage. I don't even want to imagine what anybody can do with 30,000 naira now. It's with the level of increase, hike, and all of that, the inflation and the rest. So 30,000 naira is apparently not it for anybody. I'm even sorry to say, and I'm not even a rich person, I don't even pay my cleaner that 30,000 naira now. And she doesn't come to my house every day. She only comes 4 times in a month. So, and I pay from my own pension. You understand? I take that money from my own pension, which is also not up to 200,000 naira, so that people don't look at me and think I'm a very rich person. But I need to do that because I just look at the fact that this person is going to spend money on transport to come to my place, and transport fare has since tripled. So I'm not even doing anything like a favor. It's just like understanding one another. I think government and the Labour should also work with us understanding. And as for the Labour saying that 615,000, imagine if you have more than 5 people in your employment, you are compelled by law to pay 615,000 naira. So ask yourself, how much is somebody that runs a firm that has 5 workers, how much would they be generating that they will now be paying 615,000 naira? That is why I said it looks like a joke. And also the organized private sector will have to go by the minimum wage. Let's assume that after negotiation and renegotiation, they even come to 200,000 naira. How many people can pay that? Remember, I read it today, there are some states in the north still pay 4,000 and 6,000 naira minimum wage. Also remember that there are so many state governments that don't even pay this 30,000 naira minimum wage. So I just feel that the element of love is very absent in the way we deal with ourselves.
Should that be the yardstick here?
Yes, it should be, because if it is there, you can I just gave you an example of myself with the person that comes to claim my place. I'm not doing what I'm doing because I'm rich or buoyant. So if a state government, for example, looks at what it takes for the workers to come to work and do this and do that, then, and based on that, decide the minimum comfort based on the revenue that the state government is generating. And if they look at areas where they can curb wastage so that they can be able to save some money to meet the needs of the workers, not necessarily in terms of salary, maybe in form of allowances. Because if you say salary, like we just explained, a minimum wage is binding on so many other businesses, right, which may not be possible. Right. So now, if we say, okay, maybe allowances, maybe health allowance, accommodation allowance, living allowances, different kind of things can be built in. But it has to be from a point of understanding that this is the minimum that any human being needs to live as a human being. Then we now ask, do we have this money? Then the second leg of the question is this: what are the civil servants contributing to the main economy? Right. Both at the federal government and at the state level. Even how are they planning to justify whatever they want to earn? And what revenue are they generating? Do you understand? Because if you want productivity, you look at civil service is not just a place where you dash people money. We understand this very well in the private sector. And that is why in the private sector, if you are not productive, before you know it, you are let go. But in the civil service, it's as once you get there, you are there for life until you retire. Nothing changes. But we need to begin to look at that process in our governance. Should civil servants just be people that are in government to partake of the national cake? I know a lot of them are productive, but what are they doing? And the labor itself, right. I think they need to talk about this aspect of what these workers are going to be doing to increase productivity so that they can increase revenue generation that can even make it possible for government to pay them extra amounts. We also need to look at that.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with you on that aspect as well. But when you're talking about balancing this need for minimum wage, let's look at how the government can, ensure this is done while taking cognizance of the current realities, financial realities in various states and, of course, the private sector. How do you think the government can balance this?
Well, I think the 37-member tripartite committee has people from different sectors: the Ministry of Finance, the private sector, Nigerian Labour Congress. So I hope people will go to that meeting with adequate information to negotiate and talk to each other. But the Nigerian Labour Congress should also not forget, just like my sister said there, you see, improving the life of Nigerians, the workforce, is not just about having higher wages. There are a lot of areas that are neglected that Nigerian Labour Congress needs to also realize it's not just paying higher wages that will automatically resolve, the challenges that are facing Nigerians. For instance, look at our health services system. Those that are working there are members of their unions. Look at our health, go to public sector, the health sector. Just like sometimes you wait, you see a nurse talking for about 15 minutes before he attends to a patient. Go to the civil service. We are talking about demolition and all those kind of things because of corruption. You want to get approval for a building, they direct you to an agent. You may pay to about 5-6 agents before you are able to get the correct one. There are workers there sabotaging the country. We are talking about embezzlement in banks and all sorts of things. There are people who are members of Nubife who are in these workplaces who are sabotaging and destroying the country. So part of the responsibility of labor is not just about minimum wages. It's also about training to acquire new skills. It's also about education. It's also about working to improve public services. Look at what has happened in other countries like Cuba. A lot of people don't know that malaria has been eliminated in Cuba in 1973. There was malaria in UK until 1917. What is labor doing? The midwife association and all that, what are they doing in terms of coming out with practical programs to uplift the country from the state that we are today? So it's not just about, every time we want wages and all that. The Nigerian Labour Congress needs to reenact itself to be able to tailor itself towards development and growth of the economy. So I think labor also needs to look forward. For instance, we are talking about price control. What is labor doing about the issue of price control? When electricity companies increase tariffs, labor went there and started demonstrating. But this notice was there 3 weeks. Labor didn't do anything until after the increase had been imposed on Nigerians. Price control, for instance, in other countries, we have Price Control Act of 1977, which was introduced after the Doji of 1976, that the fuel prices went up, and then they set up this price control. In 2004, President Obasanjo reenacted that law. It is there. We have price control board. What is labor doing in terms of trying to engage them? They are not doing their job. Look, what of health services? We have something like health insurance for workers. Insurance for workers, accident and all that. What are we doing to improve the conditions of workers apart from just talking about wages? The U.S. has the Emergency Act, Price Control of 1942 in the midst of the Second World War. And that act is there. The Federation of Unions in the U.S. made sure that this price control works. So when prices are increase all over, labor comes in to engage the government and say, look, what is the price control board doing? So it's not just about every time we want wages to go up and all that. The Nigerian Labour Congress needs to go to its traditional duties of realizing that it is part of development of this country and must also look back at itself to, change the kind of orientation of the workforce to be able to make them more meaningful, more useful to the strive for development, sustainable development in Nigeria.
So what will it take to get labor to key into this, will I say objective or this tactic, if I would put it, to see the benefits or to see the value by which they can contribute to societal growth and development? They
just need to go back to history. Nigerian Labour Congress, under the people like Sumano and people like Imodu, they had a series of departments. That's why you see in those days, when Labour comes out with a position, NANS will back that position. ASU will back that position. Nigerian Union of Journalists will back that position because it is a popular decision. It's a popular program. But increasingly, Labour is being isolated, from the Nigerian masses, So I think Labour, in order to be able to dignify itself, and the claim is, is heritage, must go back to the traditional core values of labor, of the labor movement in Nigeria. So that when it comes to the program, people, we had a program here last week, and people are calling, say that the program of NSC, the minimum wage is not realistic. A lot of callers were against, this kind of, and labor needs to realize that it needs public will. It needs public goodwill to be able to, get what it wants from the government. This demand, for instance, 650 I don't know how they came about this kind of figure. It will further diminish the reputation of labor if things are done in a way that does not look realistic and meaningful in terms of negotiating with the government. And
in terms of negotiating with the government, they also insist that if nothing is done, they can't guarantee the peace and stability of the country. Definitely they will go on indefinite strike. But Olabisi, what strategies do you think the government can do to avoid such an incident that is likely to happen? Because
don't bother about government. Government is very adept at tackling that. How many strikes have Labour gone? They just threaten and nothing happens at the end of the day. As a matter of fact,
so you're not hopeful about
if NLC has been the NLC that it described, no, this government won't even be this comfortable. That is the truth. That is the truth. This government can be this comfortable. But over time, both the masses and the government have realized that these ones are just backing dogs. They only back. They lack action. And government has started doing what it will do. And that is this committee meeting, inviting them to negotiate and the rest. They are telling us now that no, after 31st, they are going to go on strike, this and this. But I don't think any Nigerian believes them. I don't think...
You think they're more of toothless bulldogs?
They are toothless bulldogs. They are not going to go. They will go on strike for 3 days. And they will come back to the negotiation table. That is what they've been doing for the last 1 year. They've been threatening strike. In fact, I don't even want to think about them. At the time, they even made me to even lose money because I thought they were serious about their strike. I had to embark on a journey that I shouldn't have because I thought they would be on strike. I needed to do some things before they start their strike. See me, I spent money on hotel. I did all of that. At the end of the day, there was no strike. So I don't think there is going to be any major indefinite strike because Nigerians aren't even interested in any indefinite strike or not indefinite strike. They just want better living conditions. And I don't also think that they have confidence in this current NLC and TUC as currently constituted to be their saviors in this country for now. So maybe NLC may now want to say we want to redeem our image. We want to prove to the people that we are really on their side. They may want to prove me wrong. But honestly speaking, I know this government is intelligent enough to tackle this. However, I want to advise government not to be political about this negotiation. I think they should just face this issue once and for all. It's long overdue. This review of the minimum wage is long overdue. They should just tackle this once and for all and agree at an amount that is reasonable, that will be reasonable at all levels, the state government level. Remember that it's not even about the federal government alone. And the federal government cannot even impose its own minimum wage on states because it's not the one that is going to be paying that and all of that. So everybody should be reasonable. Neither can even the labor impose anything on the organized private sector because they are not going to be the one to give them the money to pay. So I think they should look at everything holistically and come up with an agreement that is workable across board so that everybody will be able to do it. And also they should not be insisting on this 615,000 naira because apparently it is not realistic. And if you insist on 615,000 and if they go on strike on that basis, I doubt if they will get the sympathy of the public because it's like you are just saying things that are not realistic. They should also know that and know what to do.
Right. Adewale, what's your final thoughts on this issue?
Yes, I absolutely agree with him that Labour should be conscious to retain its integrity. And the only way you can do that is to negotiate in a way that people will have respect for your position, and not to make yourself look frivolous. If you should come with a position that is backed with concrete facts, so that you don't make yourself a laughingstock. And if you want to go on strike, you must make sure that that strike commands the popular will of Nigerians. If you continuously come with strike that do not command, the will of Nigerians, gradually you will begin to lose your reputation.
And how do you think they can do that?
Yeah, they need to be realistic with the government needs to increase the minimum wage, but labor needs to be realistic to know that, look, this is what the government can pay, and then we can agree from 30,000 to an amount that we all agree that even if the government fails to pay, everybody will blame the government, not the Nigerian Labour Congress. Yeah,
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I just want to ask now, what would you propose as an agreed amount? Because taking note of the realities, economic realities on ground, what would you propose, as a sane or realistic minimum wage?
Well, I think if we look at the percentage increase we have had over the years, we've had 50% increase, 100% increase. If we are talking about 150% increase, it's still way far off from 615. So if we should look at percentage, if we are talking about 150% increase, I think that may be realistic. Instead of a percentage that will create more problems for us, people will increase their food stuff and we'll be regretting that, we should have not asked for this particular amount. And something that the government can pay so that people are not sacked, they don't lose their jobs. Some people will still tell you that, if I get my 30,000, it's better than nothing, than to lose my jobs. Yeah. So people don't want to lose their jobs. So I think we need to be factual.
Right, and that's not. I'd like to thank my guests in the studio. Thank you so much, Adewale Adeoye and Olabisi Adeji Fulutile, for your thoughts on the program, Journalist Hangout. Well, that's about what we can take for today's episode of the show. Don't forget, you can watch a repeat broadcast of it tonight at 11. Join us again on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. We are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Esther Mopariola. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.
Where you they come from? For inside this hot sun.
Antenatal enter market.
I happy well for this clinic where you they go. It is very important for the baby.
Not true. It go make me dey safe. Me and my baby where they carry for my belly.
That means everybody, plus including pikin, so where they inside belly, go collect vaccine.
Today, I collect vaccine for tetanus. I collect vaccine for COVID. And those vaccines, now them go take care of my baby and me myself. And now I can't know say, he get vaccine for pikin them separately. And he get the one for pregnant women like me. I dey follow who no rule.
Women when get belle supposed to collect them COVID and tetanus vaccine. They protect them and them picking for belle from infection. Waka go any health center or call 7722 for more information.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV.
Tired of pans that scratch and stick? Or cookware that takes up valuable space in your kitchen and are of little to no use? Cooking used to be fun, but now it just feels like a chore. Introducing ShopX Gotham Hammered Copper Collection, the perfect cookware to upgrade your cooking experience. The Gotham Hammered Copper Collection features a super durable ultra non-stick surface. Eggs stick to other pans, but with the Hammered Copper Collection, they slide right out. Incredible! Plus, the Cool Touch solid cast handle makes it safe and easy to cook even the hottest dishes. It's oven safe up to 500 degrees, so bake this beautiful chicken stew pizza and serve it straight from the pan. Or this tasty delicious cake that will have your whole family asking for more. Any recipe can be made in these pans, and then it wipes clean with ease, so cleanup is a breeze. Plus, use your hammered copper pan to make homemade pancakes that flips and slips right out. Or make mouth-watering jollof rice or even fluffy pounder with ease, because nothing sticks.
I needed a cookware to keep up with me. The Gotham Hammered collection has been a game changer. No more burnt meals or hours spent scrubbing.
ShopX TV.
From the valleys through the hills to the riverbanks of Kogi State, we bring you update on the developmental and economic activities of the Kogi State government under the leadership of Governor Ahmed Usman Ododo on Confluence States Today. From road construction to infrastructure, health and human development, we take you on a journey around the 21 local government areas of Kogi State on Confluence States Today. Kogi State is moving forward. Our people are enjoying the true dividends of democracy. Confluence States Today, showing on TVC News at this time.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move weigh in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking it.
Every major news story is with Bennett perspective.
Hello everyone, you're watching Beyond 100 Days with Nifemi Oguntoye. Joining me on the program today is the Honorable Minister of Transportation, Senator Said Ahmed Al-Khali. The question is, how has the Transportation Ministry fared in the first year of the Tinubu administration? You can join the conversation right now and send in your questions and comments for the Honorable Minister on X using hashtag Beyond 100 Days and at TVC News. Remember to tag at TVC News NG and at Nifemi Oguntoye. Let's begin in Ondo State, where the APC has reportedly suspended Senator representing Ondo South, Jimo Ibrahim, at the ward level for alleged anti-party activities. The lawmaker was suspended by members of the APC Executive Committee of Igbotako Ward 11 in Okitipupa local government area of the state. The notice was signed by some ward executive members, including 10 of them. Publicity Secretary of the party in the state, Alex Kalejaye, however, says he's not aware of the suspension. He said the state chapter of the party has not been officially informed about Mr. Ibrahim's suspension. The senator is currently in court to challenge the declaration of Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa as winner of the April 20th governorship primary election in the state. We're following that story closely, particularly the aftermath of the APC primary election in Ondo State and how it's going to impact on activities in the coming days ahead of the election. Our attention on the show today is turned to the transportation sector, which is crucial to the fulfillment of the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu's administration, as all is now set to mark his 1 year in office. The Minister of Transportation, Senator Saidu Al-Khali, has put forth plans for the creation of a national land transport policy, marking a potential turning point for Nigeria's land transport subsector. Speaking at a stakeholders validation forum some weeks ago, Senator Al-Khali stressed the importance of this policy initiative, citing current shortcomings within the land transport system as a primary motivation. He emphasized the urgent need for such a policy, recognizing the challenges currently faced by the land transport sector. For more on what the Ministry of Transportation is doing to achieve the renewed hope agenda, I'm joined by the Honorable Minister of Transportation, Saidu Ahmed Al-Khali. Honorable Minister, thank you for joining us on the program this evening.
Thank you very much.
All right, so some have alleged that you have largely not been quite active, especially when it comes to conversation with the media relative to what we saw with the former Minister of Transportation. And they say this perception have led to the fact that not much of the project started in the last administration has been continued. It's a good place to start. Talk to us about these rumors and how much work you think has been done in the area of continuation of previous projects.
Well, let me first and foremost start with the mandate of the ministry. The mandate of the ministry is basically land transport, that is rail and land. In the area of land, when I took over as the minister, we developed the land transportation policy. The policy will address the mission, vision, and the commitment of the ministry, our framework going forward. We submitted the draft copy as the National Council of Transportation in Abeokuta, the capital city of Ogun State, for stakeholders to make input. When we came back, we submitted the report again for the second round of the stakeholder engagement. As we speak, it is at the final stage for our submission to the Federal Executive Council. The ministry have 3 agencies to supervise: the Nigeria Railway Corporation, the Institute of Transport Technology, and the Federal University of Transportation in Daura. This is how far we have gone on the land transportation policy so far. So, there are a lot of talks about some of the projects you flagged up recently. You talked about the first segment of the Kano to Maradi rail project, which is to be completed in 2025, and also the 62-kilometer Port Harcourt to Abia rail service. What do you consider the highlight of your ministry's achievement in the past 1 year in this regard? As the ministry have about 2 to 3 major projects under railway modernization. We have Lagos to Ibadan, Ibadan to Mina, Mina to Abuja, Abuja to Kaduna, Kaduna to Kano, and Kano to Maradi. Before I took over as the minister, Lagos-Ibadan was completed and it was put into use. So we are to continue from Ibadan to Abuja, and from Abuja to Kaduna was completed and put into use. So we are to continue from Kaduna to Kano and Kano to Maradi. Most of these projects were awarded under EPC plus F. There is an equity contribution of the federal government amounted to 15%, while the 85% is to be sourced through a loan. The viability of railway is mostly associated with freight, because no bank will lend you money without making their own economic feasibility studies to ascertain the viability of the project before they can fund it. The President has directed the Vice President to lead us to a Belt and Road initiative in Beijing, the capital city of the People's Republic of China. The Vice President has interfaced with the President Xi Jinping in a bilateral discussion. He has extracted his commitment to fund Ibadan to Abuja and Kaduna to Kano. The loan of Kaduna to Kano was released. It was signed by the Minister of Finance. We are just waiting for some few procedure of signature for the loan to drop. And from Kano to Maradi. So I went for inspection, and the President has directed that all the ongoing projects should be completed. The one of Kano Maradi, I was in Kano to Dambata, Dambata to Kazaure, Kazaure to Daura last week. Hopefully by the end of next year, we'll be able to put Kano to Daura, and because there is a branch line to Duze, the capital of Jigawa State, then we'll link Jigawa to Kano. And that of Kaduna to Kano hopefully will be completed by next year. The essence of this corridor is to link Lagos to Maradi in Niger Republic. But by the time you have a gap, there is no way you can start freight from Lagos to Maradi. And as I told you earlier, The achievement of railway mostly has to do with freight. And when I took over, we started freight from APMT terminal in Apapa to Ibadan. And very soon, by the grace of God, because I said it doesn't make sense you start freight, then you stop in Ibadan. We will start evacuating containers from APMT terminal because we have both the narrow and the standard gauge inside the port. We are able to rehabilitate the existing narrow gauge because there was some wash away and some vandalization around Baro in Niger State, which I have directed the managing director of the Nigerian Railway Corporation to ensure he has fixed it. He has done that, and hopefully by June we are going to start freight on the narrow gauge from Lagos to Kano. By the time we are able to achieve this, cost of business will be low, we reduce the menace of road traffic accidents, we save our roads, so we have a multiplier effect on the GDP growth of the entire country. And on the Eastern Corridor, we have another line from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri. The time I took over, the project was just outskirts of Port Harcourt. But within this 1 year, we are able to fix Port Harcourt to Aba, which we have commenced operation just last 2 weeks.
Honorable Minister, just to gain some clarity as to my earlier questions, how many of these projects are a continuation of ongoing projects that this administration met on ground?
From Lagos to Kano. As I said earlier, Lagos, Ibadan, Abuja, Kaduna, Kano, Maradi. It's an ongoing project. Then the other one is the Eastern Narrow Gauge from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri. So we are to continue with the project, and we should ensure completion at the time that was spelled out.
All right. When we hear the MD of the NRC talking, he's still talking about refurbishing locomotives and coaches. And as a matter of fact, he's also talking about acquisition of narrow gauge locomotives and narrow gauge coaches. What's the plan of this administration for, a rail system world over that is fast evolving from steam locomotives to speed trains that they call modern bullets?
The contract was awarded for the construction and the procurement of the locomotives, but we have not yet procured the locomotives. That of Kano to Maradi, we are still waiting for the loan, and so also the one from Lagos to Kano. The essence of refurbishing the old ones that we have, because we cannot wait until we got the new locomotives. Like the one we are using in Port Harcourt from Port Harcourt to Aba is an old locomotive. It was refurbished and it was put into use. The one we are using from APMT terminal to Ibadan. And by the grace of God, by June, we are going to start freight on the narrow gauge, still using the refurbished locomotives. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. So we cannot sit down and fold our arms to wait until the new locomotives has arrived. So that is the essence of refurbishing the ones we had.
So I'm looking at the timeline. Is there like a long-term program of transiting into a more modern rail service?
Yeah, of course, as I told you earlier, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. So we have started so far. We have started the passenger train. We have started the freight. So, and the journey continues in that order up to the time we will be able to achieve the desired destination.
Let's talk about security on the railways. Early last year, this was a huge concern. We recorded about 2 major attacks on the railways in a space of 10 months. And I recall the former minister was even suggesting, a military plane to survey the facility. How far have we gone in this regard? Are the insecurity challenges now behind us? And what are we doing to sustain the success thus far?
Yeah, we have a collaboration and cooperation with all the security agencies, and we have deployed surveillance cameras so that with the use of the technology in conjunction with the military personnel on the corridor, we'll be able to achieve a safe, secured, and affordable transportation system on all our corridors.
Let's take a short break, Honorable Minister, and we'll be back with more. Stay with us, everyone.
Aye.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu, do solemnly swear. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, do solemnly swear.
Minister of Transportation and Saidu Ahmed Al-Khali joins us live from our Abuja studio. Thank you so much for staying the course on the program as we continue to explore just how far this administration has gone in its campaign promises, especially in the transportation sector. You talked about the rail service, and one of the challenges we've also seen in the past years is the challenge of vandalization on the rail tracks, the recalling, stealing of vital parts of this facility. And it's a huge challenge that is not only endangering safety of people using this service, but also a major economic damage, to that sector. What infrastructure are you pulling together? What are you doing right now to ensure that this doesn't happen again?
Yeah, by the grace of God, as I have mentioned earlier, we are having a collaboration with all the security agencies, and of course the Nigerian Railway Corporation has deployed a lot of technology on the corridors. And so far, since this government came into power, we have not had any incidents of any attack on our rail lines.
So I'm just wondering if that's a matter of chance, or you think there has been an improvement from what we've seen before as to what is happening right now. Because the collaboration with all these security agencies seem to be, most of them have also reacted even aftermath of these theft occurrences. What precisely would you say you have done differently this time?
Yeah, what we have done differently is continued engagement with the security agencies. And as I have mentioned earlier, we have deployed a lot of technology on all the corridors so that we ensure that the corridors are safe for all our trains to move on it.
So we've seen the digitization of the railway payment system, but there was an experience in the Butemeta station earlier this year with the issue of ticket racketeering, and that raised some concerns about how efficient this process has been. The NRC acknowledged at the time that some of its staff are culpable. What are you doing about this?
Yeah, all the staff that were affected by that were sacked, and we ensure that these incidents will not occur again. Immediately when we had the incident, we summoned the Nigerian Railway Corporation and all the operators into the ministry so that we try to find out the nitty-gritty of some of these things and why the things were occurring. And since then, we have not had any incidents of ticket racketeering so far.
So as we speak now, people don't pay for tickets at the stations? They still have to book online?
No, you can book online, but you can as well obtain the ticket on the counter. You can use your ATM card to pay for the ticket. Those who obtain their own online will come with their booking reference so that they board the train.
Let's talk about the land transportation policy. You mentioned weeks ago that the land transport subsector was presently perhaps the weakest link in the whole transportation sector, in the transport and logistics value chain, and that's why there's need for a policy that will somehow engender its transformation. Is the National Land Transport Policy now completed? And perhaps you can enlighten us precisely what it's offering.
We are at the final stage of submitting the policy to the Federal Executive Council. As I told you earlier, We have finished all the engagement with relevant stakeholders. So we are trying to wrap up the policy so that we submit it to Council for approval. And the policies seek to address the mission and vision of the ministry, and we are going to open the railway for private sector participation.
How does that work when you talk about private involvement, private sector engagement?
Once you allow the sector for private sector participation, the private sector will key in so that they will bring investment on the sectors. By then, you will be able to drive the sector to the next level.
Does that mean that Nigerians will have to pay more?
Yeah, why not? Any investor that is interested in the investment will come and approach the ministry. We submit their proposal to ICRC. They will vet it, the outline business case, the full business case. They will submit it to FEC for approval.
What really do you think has been the challenge? Is it a function, do you think it's a challenge with public facilities, government lacking the capacity to manage public facilities, and then we have to bring private sector to run it for us, and by implication, Nigerians have to pay more for the services?
It's not really like that. You see, in anything you are doing, you have to be mindful of not putting burden on the fiscal burden of our nation's economy. And once you allow private sector, it's one of the things that the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is trying to achieve, so that we bring private sector participation in all our investments.
So we open this conversation to the viewers to also check in with you and send in some questions. And, one of the concerns raised online is the management of all of these new train stations that we've seen spring up in some parts of the country. This particular person says the escalator and elevator at the Lagos-Ibadan stations are not working. Even the Ibadan station looks dirty with no electricity. You guys need to fix these problems. Who do you think is responsible for this, and how are you intending to solve these problems?
On that, I have already directed the managing director of the Nigerian Railway Corporation to fix all the escalators within 48 hours. So by the special grace of God, in the next 48 hours, all the escalators will be working.
All right. And you also would follow through with some concerns that have been raised. The issue of digitizing the payment system. What we find out really is that these tickets are booked online and then sold to passengers at the station at a higher rate.
We have some checks mechanism. By the time you are going to buy the ticket online, we have to have your data, even for security reasons. We have your name, your NIMC number, and at the time you are going to board the station, we are going to cross-check whether this data belongs to you or not before you will be allowed to board the train.
All right. This person is asking if the Abuja-Kaduna Railway has resumed and what's been done to avert the recurrence of the security challenges experienced there years ago.
Yeah, it has resumed. And I have said earlier, we have constant engagement with the security agencies, and the technology we have deployed is going to address the situation, or it has addressed the situation already.
And you're saying that this is a sustainable effort that will, improve on the experiences we've had in the past, Honorable Minister?
Yeah, it's going to be sustainable in line with the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President. And not only that, some of the achievements we have also recorded in the ministry. We have Nigerian Institute of Transport Technology, which they have started conversion from petroleum to CNG. So far, we have one center in Zaria. We have another center in Abuja here. We have another conversion center in Kano. That of Lagos and Enugu will be ready in the next 3 weeks. And we have the Federal University of Transportation, Daura, which you have not talked of it as an achievement of this administration. At the time President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came in as the Nigerian democratically elected president, the university structure has been put in place with only a vice-chancellor. So when we took over, we approached Nigerian Universities Commission to appoint a mentor university for the university to take off against 2023-2024 academic year. They appointed ABU to mentor the university. And we approached JAM. Then the portal of fresh admission was already closed, so that they will give us a window through change of institution. With that, we have admitted over 500 students, which are now studying 14 courses in different cadres of degree program.
All right, we have to go now, but I'm sure you're also following closely with developments as it relates to the economy, especially following the removal of fuel subsidy and the promise by this administration to provide some relief in the area of transportation. We expect to see some CNG buses arrive by May 29. But what do you consider the biggest challenge to fulfilling that renewed hope agenda where your ministry is concerned?
Well, all the critical issues were already addressed by Mr. President. We are going to revitalize the federal urban mass transit system, and these buses are using CNG, so that the cost of transportation is going to be very low, and the ministry has already engaged an investor on retrofitting our locomotives from diesel to CNG, still to bring down the cost of transportation and cost of freight as well.
Honorable Minister of Transportation, Saidu Ahmed Alkali, thank you so much for talking to us on Beyond 100 Days.
Thank you very much.
And that's the program today, everyone. You can watch it again at midnight and at 6 a.m. tomorrow. I am Nifemi Oguntoye.
It was a shutdown. But this time, it's going to be a night to remember. Lagos, are you ready? It's Ogbuefi live in Lagos, from Onitsha to Lagos. Featuring AY, Clint the Drunk, Nedu Wazobia, Senator, Funny Bone, MC Danfo, Edo Pikin, Kaboko, Sa One on One, Albino Brothers, and lots more. Musical performances by Ayi Dons, Onyeze, Spackle Tea, and many others. Venue, Eco Hotels and Suites, Lagos. Date is Sunday, 26th May 2024. Show starts by 7 p.m. Tickets, regular 5,000 Naira. VIP, 25,000 Naira. Gold table, 2 million Naira. Premium table, 3 million Naira. Tickets are available at all Urban supermarkets or visit ariatickets.com. For table reservations, please call 0703-309-9740. Supported by Taka Group, Vera Angela Solution, Vintage, Volaroo Champagne, Wayne Homes, ICA Properties, Cubana Group, Demaco Wine, Viper Engine Oil, and Agu.ng. This event is powered by Talk Empire and Amana Agu. Packaged by Landry Maku Event. Media partners, TVC.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV.
Tired of pans that scratch and stick? Or cookware that takes up valuable space in your kitchen and are of little to no use? Cooking used to be fun, but now it just feels like a chore. Introducing ShopX Gotham Hammered Copper Collection, the perfect cookware to upgrade your cooking experience. The Gotham Hammered Copper Collection features a super durable ultra non-stick surface. Eggs stick to other pans, but with the Hammered Copper Collection, they slide right out. Incredible! Plus, the Cool Touch solid cast handle makes it safe and easy to cook even the hottest dishes. It's oven safe up to 500 degrees, so bake this beautiful chicken stew pizza and serve it straight from the pan. Or this tasty delicious cake that will have your whole family asking for more. Any recipe can be made in these pans, and then it wipes clean with ease, so cleanup is a breeze. Plus, use your hammered copper pan to make homemade pancakes that flips and slips right out. Or make mouth-watering jollof rice or even fluffy pounder with ease, because nothing sticks.
I needed a cookware to keep up with me. The Gotham Hammered collection has been a game changer. No more burnt meals or hours spent scrubbing pots.
Shopex TV.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Thank you so much for joining us on another interesting episode of Confluence State Today. I am Mimi Aderibigbe. On this episode, we bring you updates on the political, economic and social happenings in Kogi State, looking at Governor Usman Ahmed Ododo's activities in recent times and his development strides since his inauguration. These are the highlights of what to expect today. Governor Usman Ahmed Ododo visits Confluence University of Science and Technology, Osara, following attack on some students of the institution. He vows to ensure safety of lives and property and forestall recurrence. We will also spotlight Governor Usman Ahmed Ododo's 100 days in office, looking at his core project across ministries, agencies and parastatals. We have details of these and much more in just a moment. Let's start off with our first story. Governor Usman Ahmed Ododo has paid a visit to the Confluence University of Science and Technology, Osara, where some students were recently abducted. Now, 14 of the abducted students have been rescued. During his visit, Governor Ododo assured the university community that the state government will improve the existing security architecture on the campus.
It's an unexpected visit to the Confluence University of Science and Technology, Osara. Unlike his previous visit, Governor Usman Ahmed Ododo's demeanor this time is far from excitement. He is visibly worried by the news of the kidnapping of some students from this institution by unknown assailants. He moves round the school premises with his team, engaging in dialogue and gathering first-hand information from the school's management and eyewitnesses.
It seems there are internal sabotage. Investigations are ongoing because all the CCTV cameras were disconnected before they came in, meaning that there are insiders that is selling us out. But by the special grace of God Almighty, we will fetch them out.
The new institution is already coming up strong. The academic environment now boasts of new structures springing up almost everywhere across the expansive land. Governor Ododo takes the lead alongside security agents, scouring nearby bushes and assessing what more can be done to ensure the safety of the students.
I'm here to see things for myself and to assess the situation and also to review the ongoing operation to ensure that our students are rescued safely.
Governor Ododo remains unruffled. He is fully aware that the incident was merely an attempt by the assailants to test the government's readiness in combating criminality in the state, and he is prepared to confront them head-on.
What is important here now is how to rescue our students unhurt. And by the special grace of God, we have a lot of information at our disposal that we cannot give out.
With these assurances, Governor Ododo has evidently embarked on a mission to ensure the safe return of the missing students. And not so long thereafter, the news of their rescue filters in, with at least 14 of them regaining their freedom. Prior to this incident, Governor Ododo had inaugurated the Metropolitan Security Task Team, comprising local vigilantes and hunters tasked with preventing incidents of this nature. He not only inaugurated the security outfit, but also equipped them with patrol vehicles and communication gadgets to facilitate quick response to distress calls. While Governor Ododo's readiness for the task ahead is evident, his words of assurance here continue to resonate as he pledges to make Kogi State one of the safest and most peaceful states in Nigeria, where everyone can sleep with their eyes closed. Governor Ododo is not leaving anything to chance. He is determined to rid Kogi State of criminality. His convoy snakes through thick forests, rough patches, and bushes that likely serve as hiding places for criminals. The mission of the team, comprising all security agencies in the state, is to reassure residents of these communities on the outskirts of the state capital, particularly Omala, that the state government will protect them from bandits. The governor is accompanied by his deputy, Joel Salifu-Oyibo, for this meeting, as they are received by traditional rulers and community leaders for a conversation on the root cause of the recent conflict that broke out between rival groups along Kogi's border towns with Benue State.
His Excellency, sir, you see, we are like Oliver twins. We always need more. The one you have given us, we know you have given us. One of the most things you have done and that has generated your being here today is your love and interest for this housing. Although you don't even know this place before, and you have never even maybe heard the name of this place before. But you have taken pains to appoint our son to be the caretaker of the local government of Omala today.
After listening to the traditional leaders, Governor Ododo takes them down memory lane to the 1970s when the communal crisis started and assures them that he will work with security agencies to nip the crisis in the bud.
Your Majesty, what is happening here